let us take a look. We have some patch notes. Finally, the Shuriman Desert is no longer vast. No longer vast confirmed. All right, metagame snapshot. Since we're updating quite a few cards, felt like it was time for another metagame snapshot. Okay, cool. I'll definitely look at that later, but that's good to have. Card updates. First thing I see is Twisted Fate. I'm a happy boy. First thing I see is Twisted Fate. Champions. Twisted Fate level 1. I've seen you draw 8+ cards. Now I've seen you draw 9+ cards. Twisted Fate's quest can be completed in extremely short windows of time. Considering his level 2 is usually completely game winning. Okay, I'm glad you know. I'm glad they're aware it is completely game winning. We feel the need to increase the quest requirement slightly to broaden windows for interaction before he levels up. This is especially important for us to keep an eye on given both current and potential future content that involves card draw. That doesn't feel like enough. That doesn't... I was hoping 12. I was hoping that he would go to 12 cards drawn. But we would... I was hoping he'd go to 12, but they would go to 10. But I thought they would go to 10. That's what I thought would happen. But if they're also changing other cards, maybe it's like if they're changing other draw spells, then maybe it's fine. Well, I'll have to come back to this. I'll have to come back to this because Twisted Fate is largely dependent on the draw around him. So if they're nerfing other draw, I'm a little sus. That's a little sus. All right, Fiora. Fiora becomes a 3/2. Yo, is that right? Fiora is actually a 3/2. I did not think that would happen. I did not think they would actually do that. Fiora has a long history of going between breaking thresholds one week and then being totally fine the next, giving certain metagame shifts. Recently, it's been doing more of the former, giving Golden Ages and Shurima's regional weaknesses against her. By reducing her health, we're giving decks with less interaction, more ability to power through, and introducing much more risk and disruptability for Fiora's alternate win condition. Huh! Wow! They actually went and did it. They actually went and made Fiora 3/2. I did not think that would happen. Wow. They also touched pick a card. Yeah, that's what I've heard. I've heard they've also touched pick a card, and so I need to go look at that before I make any calls, make any judgment on Twisted Fate. That's very interesting. I did not think they would actually change Fiora like that. That's really cool. Okay. This is a big deal. This is a really big deal. And a welcome one at that. So Fiora Shen is still going to be good. It's still going to be a good deck. It might go down to tier 2 instead of tier 1. But like solo Fiora will be worse, right? Like all-in Fiora decks are going to be worse. But I think Fiora Shen is going to be like, obviously that's also going to be worse, but not a ton worse. It's going to be slightly worse. And it's going to feel more fair. I love it. I like it. I love this change. Fiora has been exactly what they said. She bounces back and forth between completely busted and then fine, and then completely busted and then fine. So maybe if we tone her down, she'll go between being bad and good and not completely busted and fine. You know, maybe that'll happen. Cool. I'm a fan. I like that. I like that a lot. Jarvan the 4th. Ooh, Jarvan gets a buff. Base stats go from 5/3 to 6/4. They gave him +1/+1. They gave Jarvan +1/+1. Jarvan 4th has been the least played champion of Empires of the Ascended. Yeah, for good reason. We'd like to give him a straightforward buff to his base stats to make him more of a threat on the board. Yes. Yeah, sure. Absolutely. I don't think this will make Jarvan great, but it might make him okay. So, cool. And then Shyvana added Change Fury. Oh, they gave her Fury! But they changed her back to where she was. Shyvana originally did not have Fury given her thematics. However, the lack of Fury has caused enough gameplay issues in her usability for us to retroactively reconsider her design. So they changed her back to being a 3/4, but they gave her Fury. Now she makes sense with Dragon Chow. Now Shyvana can actually chow on Dragon Chow. Poor Dragon Chow. Poor Dragon Chow. Brittle Steel. Why you got a sad face on Brittle Steel? Did they touch Brittle Steel? Oh no, dude. Oh no. Okay. So I like like this. I like this a lot. I think that feels much better. I think that I understand why they didn't put Fury on Shyvana at the time. Like, I get it. She's like a human that turns into a dragon, so she doesn't have Fury and then she gets Fury. I get it. But I think this is gameplay wise, I think this is much better. And I liked her, and I honestly did like her better as a 3-4. Like, I get that they gave her an extra buff for the 3 attack to 4 attack for a while to help her out, and it didn't really change anything. So I liked her better as a 3-4 anyway. So I like this change too. This is a really good change. I appreciate this. Lulu. Hi, Lulu. What's up, Lulu? Base stats level 1 from 2-3 to 3-3. And then base stats level 2 from 3-4 to 4-4. They gave her 1 attack. Lulu just got 1 attack, ladies and gentlemen. Lulu has been among the least played champions since her launch. We're looking to reinforce some of Ionia's aggressive... We are looking to reinforce some of Ionia's aggressive capabilities in this patch. And we're giving a small buff to Lulu to allow her the ability to attack profitably in more games. I don't know about that one. I don't know about this one. Lulu's problem has always been that she costs 3 mana and she's your champion, but you attack with her once and she dies because Ionia doesn't have that much protection, and the cards that go with Lulu, the cards in other regions that want to be supported, generally also don't have that much protection. So Lulu is going to attack once and die, right? She costs 3. She's only got 3 health, so she's going to attack into like a 3-2 and die. And this doesn't change that. It does mean that if she can't be blocked by a 3-3, you know, that survives anymore. She couldn't be blocked by like what's a 3-3 that's in the meta right now? A ballistic bot. She can't die to a ballistic bot without killing the ballistic bot anymore. She'll kill ballistic bot when she attacks, but it's not really good enough. That's not really good enough. That alone is not good enough. I really hoped for a Azir stat line would make so much more sense. Azir stat line, that would be better. That would be better. Yeah, making Lulu like a 1-5. That could certainly be better. Yeah, I don't know about that. We'll see if they said we're looking to reinforce some of Ionia's aggressive capabilities in this patch. So we'll see what other Ionian cards are changed. But this alone is not going to be enough for Lulu. Okay, pick a card. People were telling me about this. Pick a card, and Twisted Fate's pick a card is now costing 2. Okay, so it costs 2 instead of 3, and it says place a card from hand into your deck to draw 3 at the next round start. Give them fleeting. Place a card from hand into your deck to draw... Oh, that's what it used to say. Place a card from hand into your deck to draw 2 at next round start. Give them fleeting. Pick a card's draw power was both allowing significant lethal setups while also creating explosive card draw to turbo level Twisted Fate on round 5. We're streamlining the effect to reduce the ceiling of this card. Interesting. So now it costs 2, you still get rid of 1, and then next turn you still draw 2. Well, a lot of people were asking for this. A lot of people in the community were asking for a change to pick a card. And I guess this makes it harder to level up Twisted Fate. I mean, Twisted Fate, by the way, this is the only reason this card is being changed is because of Twisted Fate, right? Pick a card is not a card that is like making Bilgewater strong. It's only making Twisted Fate decks strong, right? This is not a nerf or a change because pick a card is too powerful. It's just because of Twisted Fate decks. I don't hate it. I don't think it was ever played out of Twisted Fate decks, to be honest. No, I don't think this card has ever been played out of Twisted Fate decks, seriously. It wasn't even popular in Go Hard meta. No, it wasn't. It was for a while. Like, people were experimenting. I tested pick a card in Go Hard. The problem is you wanted we had to take out every spell that cost 3 or less mana because you wanted Zap to always draw Go Hard. If Zap Spray Fin, if the Go Hard Zap Spray Fin synergy wasn't as strong as it is, we actually would have run Pick a Card. That's really the only reason. We would have run Pick a Card in that deck if we weren't looking for Zap specifically to draw Go Hard. Draw 2 at 2 mana is kind of cheap, but I guess Preservarium is the same. So it's not really draw 2. So pick a card before at 3 when it was 3 mana was sort of 3 mana to draw 2, right? Because you play pick a card, it goes away. You get rid of another card from your hand. So you're going down 2 cards in your hand to draw 3 cards in your hand versus something like Preservarium, which is you go down 1 card in your hand to draw 2. So that was essentially, pick a card was essentially 3 mana to draw 2 cards, but you get rid of a card in your hand to swap it out for another one. Versus what it is now is 2 mana to draw 1 card, and you also swap 1 out for another card. So it's 2 mana to increase, to not increase your card advantage at all. This card no longer gives you card advantage. That's interesting. Pick a card before, when in the Fizz Twisted Fate deck, pick a card gave you card advantage by 1 when you played it, and now it gives you none. Pick a card gives you no card advantage now by playing it, and that's very interesting. That's really rough. I think this card is never going to see play outside Twisted Fate decks, and it might not see play in Twisted Fate decks anymore. It is this strictly to level TF now? Yeah, but it doesn't do that very well anymore. Yeah, this card might be dead. I don't know this. We'll have to test it, but it is entirely possible that pick a card is truly dead and we'll never play it again. That might be the case. I'm not going to say that that's definitely the case or like call that or anything, but that's a possibility. Alongside the 9+ card requirement. Okay, so yeah. So now we can go back and look at Twisted Fate and go like, yeah, okay, he's pretty hard to level. 9 cards in order to level. Maybe that's pretty difficult. I guess that's fine. I'm still a little sus, but but they also said they're sus, right? They said, this is especially important for us to keep an eye on. Yeah, okay. So they're gonna keep an eye on Twisted Fate and make sure that, you know, if he's still too easy to level, if people figure out something else, if they're like, oh, rummage into double stress testing, but also this other thing that draws cards, like if they figure out something else busted, they'll nerf Twisted Fate. I like that. I'm happy with this. I'm happy with this so far. Next up, Wiggly Burblefish. Thank God. Becomes a 2/1. Thank God, dude. Wiggly Burblefish is now a 2/1. I was thinking about this. I was thinking maybe that would be the easiest change, is just take away an attack power. I am not upset. I am not upset about this in the slightest. Wiggly Burblefish can both efficiently and reliably cost 0 mana. This is an exciting build around and payoff. So we're leaving this capability, but flatly reducing its power to reduce the payoff and lethality of Fizz's friend, especially when copied. Good. I approve. A lot of people were saying they should take away the free spell that Burblefish makes. Like, Burblefish shouldn't create a 1-cost spell in your hand after you play it. But honestly, I think this is better. Honestly, I would much prefer to hit its stats. I like that. I like this a lot. Good change. Twisted Fate Fizz looks pretty killed. Looks pretty nerfed. I'm a happy boy. Hey, Drag Dredgers. Hey, they fixed Drag Dredgers. We're reverting this previous change to give deep decks a bit of more early game. Yay! Good. I don't know why they ever did this in the first place. Drag Dredgers never deserved that. He never deserved to become a 1/1. He should have always been a 2/1. Good. Appreciate that one. All right, the Dreadway. Hey, yes. Yes, I love it. I was talking about this. The Dreadway now costs 8. Yes, dude. Fantastic. Changing the Dreadway has 2 purposes. Okay, so hold up. He now costs 8, and it went from, and they took away 2 health. So from 4/8 to 4/6. All right. Changing the Dreadway has 2 purposes. First off, we want to prevent the concurrent timelines plus Ledros into Dreadway from occurring regardless of the deck's power level. I agree. Variance has its places, but this particular combo is too decisive in gameplay considering its erratic nature. Applause. Applause. Yes. I agree completely. Secondly, this change gives us an opportunity to adjust Dreadway for more decks to be able to use it and Gangplank more effectively. This change gives us to adjust Dreadway for more decks to be able to use it and Gangplank more efficiently. Sure. 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 Deep is coming back. Wow, it could. Certainly could. That Sea Scarab is pretty rough though for Deep. That thing's existence is a little rough. All right, that's cool. I like this. I like this a lot. I was thinking now that Concurrent Timelines exists, they have to change the mana cost of either Ledros or Dreadway. They can't just leave that there. They cannot just leave that there. And this is a good way to do it. I really like this change. So Dreadway now costs 8, so you cannot Timelines Ledros into Dreadway to cheat out an easy win. That is a good thing. Although, now you can actually, alternatively though, you can actually just build a Bilgewater Shadow Isles deck that drops Dreadway on 8 and then Ledros on 9. Right? That's fair. That's a fair thing to do. That's not an unfair, Concurrent Timelines into Ledros was unfair, but Dreadway on 8 into Ledros on 9, if you want to build your deck to do that, you can now. And that could be okay. It's probably not good enough to make a decent tier 2 deck, but it's not. That's an interesting idea that we can now experiment with, right? So that's cool. All right, Shadow Assassin. Oh, they swapped her stats. That's probably a good thing. We want to provide better options to use Ionia as a core part of any given strategy. Given the current power level and ability of new regional tools, we want to make an adjustment that we were a bit hesitant about when we originally changed Shadow Assassin. Yeah. Okay. So for those of you who don't know, for those of you who might be a little newer to this game, who haven't been around for every meta, Shadow Assassin used to be, I don't remember her original stats. She's been nerfed like 4 times. Shadow Assassin used to be like a 3-mana 2/3 or something. Maybe a 3/2, I don't remember. But they kept nerfing her stats. She was like a 2/3, and then she was a 2/2, and then she was a 1/2. Like she has been nerfed over and over and over again. And now she looks a little sad. A 3-mana 1/2 with elusive is pretty sad. So they've given her 2/1. So now she's actually like a decent body. Like a 2/1 with elusive is a thing that you care about. A 1/2 with elusive, not so much. So she's okay now. She's okay. She actually can threaten to do a little bit of damage. Good stuff. Poor Ionia, dude. I mean, this is a step in the right direction. This is a step in the right direction for Ionia, but it's certainly not enough. This and the Lulu buff so far is not enough to make Ionia, anything. But we got another one. Fey Guide. Base stats from 3/3 to 3/4. Okay. Fey Guide looked like they could use some slightly better stats to help them be a bit more reliable in combat and provide more realistic appeal to Ionia decks looking to capitalize on the effect. Also gender neutral. Cool gender neutral cards or names. Play. Grant an ally elusive. Okay, so Fey Guide now becomes a 3/4 for 4 mana. That's actually a big deal. That's a big deal. That's a big deal. Going from 3 health to 4 health, it's been well documented, is a big deal in this game. Now, Fey Guide is a bit of an interesting case. This is like the Sumpworks map of Ionia, right? This is the I want to build a cheesy strategy that gives something elusive because I really want something to have elusive, right? This is the hey, what if Swain had elusive card, right? And by the way, if Swain had elusive, that'd be pretty cool. So like that's so far we've only been seeing that in memes. Like that's really only been a meme-y kind of strategy. And so all this is really doing is buffing a couple memes. But in the future, if other Ionia cards are buffed and we see other Ionia cards or other cards that really want elusive, this could become not memes. Zed plus Fey Guide? Yeah. Zed, like Fey Guide on Zed, that could be pretty cool. I played Swain Ezreal with Sumpwork map a lot a while ago. Elusive Swain is scary. Yeah, Elusive Swain could be game ending, right? And this is like a Sumpworks map, but for Ionia. That's essentially what this is. But Sumpworks map has proven to be almost entirely memey up until now, and so has Fey Guide. But I mean, that's a good. But 4 mana 3/4. That's not a bad stat line. So maybe it'll be maybe one day we'll see not memes. We'll see Fey Guide giving something elusive and it being a good deck. That is certainly possible. This is not a bad card, is what I'm trying to say. This is a good card. It just doesn't have a home yet. All right, Legion Rearguard. Hey, they changed it back. Good. We're reverting a previous change to Legion Rearguard that unfortunately had left him strictly worse than other cards over time. Bloodthirsty Marauder. We're making this change to support Noxus's aggressive regional identity. Good. Good. This is how the card used to be. Legion Rearguard used to be a 3/2 that couldn't block. And then there was a Noxus aggro deck that was so stupidly overpowered and fast and aggressive that people were really mad. Rightly so. And Legion Rearguard was in that deck, and so it got a bit of a hit. It got a bit of an axe. But yeah, these days I feel like this is totally fine. Like these days, this is not outlandish, right? There's a lot of good 1-drops running around right now. Legion Rearguard can have 2 health. That's okay. Thank God Boom Crew is still nerfed. Yeah. The important part is that Boom Crew Rookie still doesn't have 4 health. That's the important thing. All right, Sea Scarab. Okay, they buffed Sea Scarab. Like with Drag Dretchers, we think that Deep's early game could use a boost. We wanted to respond to feedback by both making it less detrimental when generated, reinvigorating Deep strategies. Okay, so they just, wow. They gave it +1/+1. Wow. This is a card now. I was talking about this with a friend the other day about Sea Scarab, like comparing it to Thorny Toad, and like you don't generally want to play Sea Scarab in deep decks because it's just like Thorny Toad but worse. That is no longer, I think that's no longer true. 2/3 Sea Scarab, that's a big deal. And now when you get it off of Slaughter Docks. Now when you get it off of like Slaughter Docks or Jaw Hunters, it's better, right? If you get this off of Slaughter Docks, it becomes add 3, it becomes a 5/6, which is still the worst one to get. It's still the worst thing to get off of Slaughter Docks, but it's not horrible to get off of Slaughter Docks because before you got a 4/5. Like Slaughter Docks transforming into a 4/5 isn't very good. Transforming into a 5/6, that's better. That's better, right? It's like 5/6 is not that far away from 7/7, which is the standard thing to get from a Slaughter Docks, right? So that's okay. I don't hate that. Actually feels like an okay card. Well, I understand why they were hesitant. I understand why they started with this stat line because you never know. People might figure out that Sea Scarab in like a dedicated Maokai deck is actually terrifying, and they didn't want to run the risk of it being too horrifying, so they started with 1/2. But yeah, due to the fact that this card gets found by Slaughter Docks and stuff, more stats is appreciated. Cool. I don't hate that. Maybe people will take out Thorny Toad and put in Sea Scarab now, because Thorny Toad doesn't get deep, you know. Thorny Toad can't become a 5/6 in the late game, and Sea Scarab can. So like, sure. Esteemed Hierophant. Okay, this is not a card I expected to see today. Esteemed Hierophant was not on my list of changes that I wanted to see today. Change. When I'm summoned Advanced Rarity Sundisk 2 rounds becomes when I'm summoned Advanced Rarity Sundisk 3 rounds. Sundisk decks are generally reliant on leveling up 2 Ascended Champions to restore the Sundisk. We want to give the Hierophant a minor adjustment, allowing him to be a more meaningful inclusion in Shuriken decks, revolving around the Sundisk, allowing alternate paths to his countdown in some situations. Interesting. That is very interesting. So they're exactly right. Right now in Sundisk decks, as if Sundisk decks are a thing. In Sundisk decks, you have to level up 2 champions in order to 2 Ascended champions, right? In order to get the Sun Disc to go off. Otherwise, if you drew all 3 esteemed Hierophants that progressed you by 6, and if you did that and leveled up a champion, that's minus 16, and 25 minus 16 means that if you drew all 3 esteemed Hierophants, played all 3 of them, and leveled up like Azir, you would advance the Sun Disc at the end of round 9, and you'd get it on round 10, I think. And that wasn't fast enough, right? That's not good enough. Plus, you had to play all those things and somehow level up Azir, and it just was bad. It was just a bad time. So now it progresses by 3, which means you could advance the Sun Disc on round. You could still advance the Sun Disc on round 9 in that same situation by only playing 2 Hierophants. Or if you drew all 3 of them, you could advance the Sun Disc earlier, at some earlier time. Cool. Sure. This isn't enough. This is not enough to make Sun Disc decks good. This is not... Sun Disc decks problem is not leveling up the Sun Disc, right? Sun Disc decks problem are a myriad other things. Mostly that Shurima only has a couple cards right now. I expect more countdown synergy in next expansion. That could be. In Sun Disc Turbo, you don't really play this card. Does this change make a difference? Probably not, but we'll have to see. Yeah, I mean, it's exactly what they said, right? This card didn't see play because it wasn't enough to make a difference. Like leveling up 2 champions just finishes the Sun Disc for you. And Hierophant didn't make enough of a difference without that to want it. To want to play it. So this might be a difference, but again, the whole concept of Sun Disc decks are never really going to be viable until Shurima gets more cards, right? When Shurima gets its 2nd expansion and its 3rd expansion, then we can start looking at Sun Disc decks as a deck, right? But right now it's just a teaser for what's to come, you know, a teaser trailer. We don't really know what they're gonna be like yet. Okay, Callous Bonecrusher goes from 6-3 to 6-4. Okay, I saw this card played for the very first time, like yesterday, because I was playing Labs. I was playing the United Labs with a friend, and I saw this card played for the very first time that day. She's got some cool voice lines. Also, that's a lady. You might not be aware, this is in fact a lady. Callous Bonecrusher's stat profile is too off for serious consideration. We're making this change to help in expeditions. Oh, to help in expeditions. Okay. And potentially see more niche normal game experimentation. Lol, literally an expedition card. Literally an expedition card. That's funny. That's hilarious. So yeah, the problem with this card is reputation, right? Reputation is something that generally, depending on your deck, you're generally not gonna get that done until like round 6, round 7. And then once it's there, this is a 2-mana 6/4. On round 7, you don't really want a 2-mana 6/4. Like, that's cool, I guess. But at that point, it would need Overwhelm to like matter. Mana decreases in the late game don't matter. Decreasing your mana specifically so that you can play it cheaply at the end of the game is something that isn't very good in Legends of Runeterra. With so far, the exception to that has been this card right here, Burblefish, because Burblefish has elusive, right? But getting a cheap big unit at the end of the game without keywords has never been good in this game, and Callous Bonecrusher is no exception. Holy crap. Oh god. Oh my god, they did the thing. Oh my goodness gracious. Aphelios just got the biggest nerf. Wow, they didn't... I figured they would have put that up in the champion area. They really did do it. They made the Moon Weapons 3. All of them cost 3 now. Our initial goal for moon weapons was to be slightly better than collectible. Our initial goal for moon weapons was to be slightly better than collectible cards of the same cost, similar to Celestials. Right, okay, I get that. However, the ability to phase and recreate weapons was too easily achievable. We're moving Aphelios' weapons to 3 cost to lower their efficiency and slow down his payoffs. Wow. I did not think they would go ahead and do that. That's insane. That makes... Yikes, dude. Is Aphelios terrible now? He might be. That's rough. Yo, move over, Aphelios. You're donezo. This is a huge change. This is a massive change. Because it not only did it just become much more difficult, not only did the moon weapons get worse, right? Every moon weapon now just is worse, and thus Aphelios is now worse. And Gifts from Beyond is now worse. But it is now much more difficult to play multiple cards in your round while activating Aphelios, right? In the first few turns, like on round 3, right? What you generally do is you Dusk Petal Dust into Aphelios into a moon weapon. That already is not possible. You cannot play Dusk Petal Dust into Aphelios into Boxtopus on round 3. That is no longer feasible. You can't do it. That alone fixes a big problem and makes Aphelios much worse. But the fact that moon weapons are going to be more expensive forever. Oh, Gifts was changed to 1. Thank you. Okay. So Gifts from Beyond actually did not get worse. It's the same. We want to retain the current total cost of Gifts from Beyond, considering it's not creating moon weapons freely like Aphelios. Okay. Fair enough. Okay, so Gifts from Beyond is not worse, but everything else. This makes it more difficult to activate Veiled Temple. This makes it more difficult to do the weird mini quest where when you're playing with Aphelios, you have to play a card and then play a moon weapon. You have to play the moon weapon before you play 2 cards so that Aphelios creates a moon weapon in your hand. All that is going to be clunkier and harder to manage. This is a big deal. This is a huge deal. And I think it's actually warranted because Veiled, unless they're changing Veiled Temple. Oh, they are. Oh God. And they're changing Veiled Temple. Hold up a minute. We should go read that. The Veiled Temple. Each round, hey look, they gave it landmark. Hey look, they finally gave it landmark. Each round, the first time you play 2 other cards, refill 2 mana and grant your strongest ally +1/+1. That's what it used to do. Each round, so what it does now is each round, the first time you play 2 other cards, refill 2 mana and grant your strongest ally out +1/+0. Okay, so they took away the health. While we have liked to see some of our newer landmarks have legitimate competitive power, the Veiled Temple can snowball games in multiple directions. We're removing the health buff from its trigger to allow players to attack or otherwise remove buffed units. Okay. All right. They actually went and gave it the Grand Plaza treatment. That's hilarious. I did not expect that. Oh, and looks like that's the last card update. Okay, cool. Wow. The Veiled Temple nerf feels fair. I wanted it to be nerfed more. I was expecting Veiled Temple to just not buff anything at all. Like, I was expecting them to take away the entire buff or to maybe give Veiled Temple like refill spell mana or maybe only refill 1 mana. But no, they just went and made moon weapons cost 3 instead. Interesting. That's sort of the same thing. Ironically enough, this is essentially the same thing as far as Veiled Temple is concerned. Well, as far as Aphelios decks are concerned, right? Because before, you play Aphelios, you play Veiled Temple, and then every turn you're playing at least 1 moon weapon, and you're getting Veiled Temple to proc. And if they had taken away 1 mana from Veiled Temple, this would be the same in that situation. But they left Veiled Temple open to be really good in decks that don't use Aphelios, which I don't hate. Honestly, Veiled Temple would is not a broken card. Veil Temple is not a broken card when it's not being paired with Aphelios. So I actually kind of like that they didn't hurt Veil Temple too much. It's still kind of really scary, but like it's not broken without Aphelios. So I kind of don't hate that. Aphelios' weapons cost 3. This is devastating. This might, I don't want to say kill Aphelios. I don't want to say that this might kill Aphelios, or so I heard someone say, I saw someone in chat say that Aphelios is unplayable now. He's probably not unplayable, but he is much worse. He just got a lot worse. I did not think for a moment that they would be brave enough to make moon weapons cost 3. I like it. Honestly, this is the kind of shakeup we needed. This is the kind of shakeup and total upheaval of the meta that we were really looking for. I don't hate it. I missed your thoughts on the Fiora nerf. What do you think? The Fiora nerf, I was surprised. It was really surprising. I didn't think Fiora would I didn't think this would happen to Fiora ever. I didn't ever think that Fiora would go down to 2 health. But it makes sense. The way she is being played these days, it does make sense. People are very rarely just attacking with a Fiora with nothing, right? Fiora's always got a barrier. She's always got a sharp sight. She's always got, you know, tough. She's always got something on her. She's never just a naked 3/3. So this is fair, I think. And it's exactly what they say. She's always going back and forth between being like the king, the absolute queen of the meta, to being like, okay. She's always been like, fine, I'm a fine card, or I'm the best card, or I'm a fine card, or I'm the best card. And with a nerf like this, hopefully she'll go from that to like, I'm a good card, to I'm a bad card, to I'm a good card, to I'm a bad card. And that's better. That's a better spot for a card to be in, right? So cool. I don't hate the Fiora change at all. I like it. I like it a lot. Wow, that was a lot.